Welcome to Voyage Daily Tech, the most important news personalized for you every day, supported by Voyage.com.
After listening to today's news, you'll know first Dutch government seizes Chinese-owned chipmaker Nexperia, setting a radical precedent for protecting Europe's tech supply chain. We'll analyse why this government takeover is a turning point and how it could affect foreign investment and tech sovereignty in Europe. Second, $1.5 trillion in financing from JPMorgan Chase targets US national security tech, creating a private sector counter to China's ambitions. So we'll discuss why this patriotic capitalism matters and what it means for the free market and the funding of innovative startups. Third, Paraguay leverages 100% green hydroelectric power to become a global hub for AI data centers, challenging traditional tech hubs. We'll explore how its unique baseload power could transform the global map for AI infrastructure and energy-intensive computing. Fourth, Salesforce stock craters 28% as it admits AI could disrupt its own products, facing the classic innovator's dilemma. So we'll discuss why the company must now disrupt its own business and what this means for the future of enterprise software. Fifth, a patient uses AI to correctly diagnose Lyme disease after doctors failed, exposing institutional blind spots in modern healthcare. This discussion will reveal how this case connects to AI's role in auditing health systems and what it means for medical liability. In a move that sent shockwaves through the global tech industry, the Dutch government just seized control of a major Chinese-owned semiconductor company. Invoking a rarely used law, The Hague has taken temporary control of Nexperia, a vital chip supplier for Europe's automotive industry. This isn't your typical government intervention. The Dutch used something called the Goods Availability Act, and the way they used it sets a massive new precedent. You might have heard of bodies like the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, or CFIUS, which can block a foreign company from buying a sensitive asset. But this is different. The Goods Availability Act allows the Dutch government to step in and directly run the company's operations to prevent supply chain disruptions. This appears to be the first time a Western government has taken temporary operational control of a financially healthy foreign-owned company. The government called the move highly exceptional, citing acute signals of serious governance shortcomings that posed a threat to both Dutch and European economic security. But what does governance shortcomings actually mean? Well, this isn't just vague legal language. It likely points to very specific fears. Analysts suggest concerns could range from the potential diversion of chip supplies and intellectual property theft to the installation of management loyal to the Chinese Communist Party. In fact, research into WingTech, Nexperia's parent company, shows board members with potential ties to state-affiliated entities, raising alarms about political influence over business decisions. The fallout was immediate. Nexperia's parent company, WingTech Technology, saw its stock plunge the maximum daily limit of 10% on the Shanghai Stock Exchange following the announcement, and the immediate consequences didn't stop with the stock price. As part of the takeover, WingTech's chairman Zhang Shuizheng was immediately suspended from his leadership roles at Nexperia. The Dutch government now has the power to halt changes to the company's assets, business, or personnel for up to a year. Now, while the chip wars often focus on super advanced AI chips, Nexperia's business is in so-called legacy chips. These are the less advanced, high-volume semiconductors that are the lifeblood of the automotive industry. Think about everything in your car. From the engine control to the infotainment system, they all run on these chips. In fact, automotive chips made up 12% of the entire semiconductor market last year. By controlling Nexperia, the Dutch government is essentially ensuring that this critical supply chain for one of Europe's biggest industries doesn't get disrupted. WingTech is not taking this lying down. In a blistering statement, the company blasted the decision as an excessive intervention driven by geopolitical bias, rather than a fact-based risk assessment. WingTech insists it has abided by all laws and maintained sound governance since acquiring Nexperia in 2019. However, if you zoom out from WingTech's accusation of bias, you'll see the much broader implication. This move could create a massive chilling effect on foreign investment in Europe. Previously, an investor's biggest political risk was having a merger or acquisition blocked. Now, they face the possibility of a full operational takeover after the deal is done. This introduces a whole new level of uncertainty, especially as the Netherlands and the wider EU are tightening their investment screening rules for sensitive sectors. This isn't happening in a vacuum. It's the latest escalation in the global chip wars following years of Dutch restrictions on selling advanced chip-making equipment from the company ASML to China. When we place the Dutch approach alongside what the UK did, the contrast becomes clear. Just a couple of years ago, the UK government forced Nexperia to sell its factory in Wales, divesting the asset completely. The Dutch didn't force a sale. They took control. This signals a new, far more interventionist playbook for protecting what Europe sees as its technological sovereignty. It also comes just as Beijing tightens its own restrictions on rare earth exports, a move that could directly impact Europe's automotive sector. The government takeover of Nexperia is more than just a corporate drama. It's a hardline move in the escalating economic battle between China and the West, placing critical European supply chains squarely in the crossfire. The Dutch government's move shows just how far states will go to secure their tech supply chains. But it's not just governments drawing these new battle lines. Over in the US, a private sector giant is stepping into the ring with a war chest of its own, $1.5 trillion. That's the total funding. America's largest bank, JPMorgan Chase, plans to facilitate for companies it deems critical to US interests. What we're seeing here is a model some are calling patriotic capitalism. This is where the lines between private finance and national industrial policy start to blur. By channeling massive funds into sectors vital for national security, the bank isn't just looking for a profit. It's actively participating in strengthening the US industrial base, almost like a private sector partner to government initiatives like the CHIPS and Science Act. This isn't just a loan program, it's a strategic pivot. As part of this, the bank is pledging to directly invest up to $10 billion over the next decade into 4 key areas: defense, frontier technologies like artificial intelligence and quantum computing, energy tech, and advanced manufacturing. And if that list of technologies sounds familiar, it should. Actually, those sectors, AI, quantum computing, advanced manufacturing, and batteries for energy, are almost a mirror image of the industries prioritised in China's Made in China 2025 plan. This move can be seen as a private sector-led American counter-strategy to China's state-driven technological ambitions. The core conflict driving this move was laid bare by CEO Jamie Dimon. In a direct statement, he said, "It has become painfully clear that the United States has allowed itself to become too reliant on unreliable sources of critical minerals, products and manufacturing, all of which are essential for our national security. But there's a catch that money alone might not solve. Experts point out that the real bottleneck isn't just a lack of capital, but also a critical shortage of specialized talent and materials. For example, in the field of quantum computing, there's only one qualified candidate for every 3 job openings. And for advanced manufacturing, the US is still heavily dependent on foreign sources for the rare earth minerals needed to make things like semiconductors. So while JP Morgan is injecting the cash, the talent and material supply chains are a whole other challenge. This initiative comes amid heightened tensions and trade disputes, organising the Wall Street juggernaut's activities around national interests. The bank is targeting support for industries from nanomaterials and autonomous robots to spacecraft and nuclear power. This decision brings both massive opportunities and comes with inherent risks. With $1.5 trillion in financing influence, there's a real chance that JP Morgan could become a kingmaker. By favouring companies that fit its specific national security rubric, it could inadvertently distort the free market, making it harder for innovative startups that fall outside its criteria to get funding. It raises the question, who decides what's critical, and could this concentration of financial power actually stifle the very innovation it's meant to support? But Dimon didn't stop at foreign reliance. He also took aim at domestic issues, saying the US needs to remove obstacles like excessive regulations, bureaucratic delay, and partisan gridlock to strengthen its own economy. And if you think this is a government-directed patriotic project, you're mistaken. Dimon confirmed that this is a JP Morgan-led effort, and he was crystal clear on the financial expectations, stating he did not expect lower than commercial returns from the initiative. Now, get this. Dimon expects normal commercial returns. So how is that possible for something as high risk and long-term as quantum computing? It turns out these bets are being de-risked by a massive wave of both private and public money. Global private funding for quantum startups just surged to $2 billion in 2024, and governments worldwide have committed over $40 billion to quantum initiatives. JP Morgan isn't betting in a vacuum. It's riding a tidal wave of investment driven by geopolitical competition. This isn't charity JPMorgan is making a calculated bet that financing America's security is the next big growth industry, fusing national interest with its own bottom line. JPMorgan is betting big on the future of energy-intensive tech like AI. Speaking of which, the global thirst for energy to power that AI is creating a surprising new opportunity for a country you might not expect. That nation is Paraguay, and it's using its 100% green electricity to make a direct play for the biggest names in global tech. Its secret weapon is the giant Itaipu Dam, a hydroelectric power station so massive it's the largest in the world outside of China. This single dam helps supply 90% of the country's electricity, giving Paraguay a staggering surplus of clean energy and the lowest electricity prices in all of South America. And this isn't just a PR stunt. It's a core economic strategy. A study from the National University of Asunción found that developing data centers could help finance nearly 40% of the country's needed investments in electricity generation over the next few years. They have so much power, they're looking for ways to use it. Now, the government is weaponizing that advantage. As artificial intelligence creates a massive global thirst for energy, Paraguay is pitching itself as the ultimate destination for AI data centers. Its leaders are telling companies like Google and OpenAI that their hydroelectric power isn't just renewable, it's steady and reliable, unlike wind or solar. What's crucial to understand is that AI data centers need what's called baseload power, a constant, uninterrupted flow of electricity 24/7. Wind and solar are amazing, but they are intermittent. Hydroelectric dams, on the other hand, provide exactly that kind of rock-solid, predictable power that AI systems crave. This is the exact same playbook used by other green energy hubs like Iceland and Sweden to attract data centers. This is all part of an audacious plan to turn the landlocked nation into the Silicon Valley of South America. The ambition is being fueled by tech professionals like Gabriela Sibbles, who left a career in the actual Silicon Valley to return home, stating it's her responsibility to bring that mindset back. But there's a deeper geopolitical game at play here. Paraguay is one of only a dozen countries in the world that diplomatically recognizes Taiwan instead of mainland China. This unique alliance provides Paraguay with special access to Taiwan's world-leading semiconductor industry, but it also closes the door to massive infrastructure investments from China's Belt and Road Initiative, which has funded huge projects in neighboring countries. Paraguay is making a very strategic choice, aligning itself with Taiwan and the West in the global tech race. But the country's pitch goes deeper than just cheap power. Paraguay is boasting about its economic stability, low taxes, and one of the youngest populations on the continent with an average age of just 27. The government is backing the vision with a planned digital park, kicking it off with a $20 million investment to attract private companies. Of course, there are challenges. The country is racing to train a new generation of software engineers, even providing them with English lessons to communicate with overseas firms. For starters, building up that talent pool is a huge hurdle. For comparison, when Ireland transformed its economy into a tech powerhouse, it did so with massive, sustained investment in education and a low 12.5% corporate tax rate that attracted billions in foreign capital. Paraguay has a long road ahead to build that same kind of talent pipeline. And this strategy comes with a major risk that economists call the digital resource curse. So the thing is, the fear is that Paraguay could become like an oil-rich nation where foreign giants come in to extract a cheap resource, in this case, energy, while the local economy sees very little benefit in terms of high-skilled jobs or real integration. But those on the ground believe the opportunity is too big to ignore. As one returning tech leader put it, with its unique combination of benefits, Paraguay can be a superpower. While Paraguay is betting its future on the AI boom, that very same boom is causing a crisis for some of the biggest names in the tech industry. Take Salesforce, for example, whose stock has created 28% this year while the rest of the market soared. The reason why is a bombshell hidden in the company's own filings. In its latest earnings report, Salesforce issued a stunning warning. New AI products, quote, may negatively impact demand for our offerings. This isn't just a hypothetical threat. In September, the AI company Anthropic showed its model could build a chat app similar to Salesforce's Slack in just 30 hours. We previously analysed how the model race has morphed into a fight for total integration, and the latest development is that rapid feature cloning like this shifts the moat from who has the best model to who is embedded deepest in a companies stack. But that's not the whole picture. Perhaps the biggest challenge is coming from inside the family. Former Salesforce co-CEO Brett Taylor has launched a rival startup called Sierra. It's already valued at a staggering $10 billion. And what does it do? It builds AI agents that can pick up the phone and talk to customers, the very feature Salesforce is just now rushing to release. A while back, we mentioned a new job category, AI agent wranglers, people who manage fleets of custom bots. Sierra's phone-first push is exactly the kind of shift that could force enterprises to stand up those roles as they juggle dozens of specialized agents. Here's where it gets interesting. Making an AI agent that can realistically talk on the phone is not just about having a good voice. The real technical challenge is making it interruptible. Think about it. In a normal conversation, you can cut someone off or jump in. For an AI to handle that, it needs ultra low latency. The delay between you speaking and it processing what you said has to be almost zero. Believe it or not, this requires immense processing power. Salesforce itself has been racing to solve this, with their latest voice tech promising 50% lower latency than before, just to make these conversations feel natural and not like you're talking to a clunky robot. Continuing our last discussion about the gap between bleeding edge AI and enterprise deployment, this ultra low latency bar is precisely the kind of thing that triggers months of testing. One reason, big company rollouts often trail consumer experiences. This all puts Salesforce CEO Mark Benioff in the hot seat. He recently dismissed the idea that AI is a zero-sum game, saying, quote, "That's not the way business works." But analysts are skeptical, noting that adoption of Salesforce's new AI tools has lagged expectations. We've said before that enterprises prize stability over a same-day innovation cycle, and that friction is showing up right here. Interestingly enough, there seems to be a massive disconnect happening. While Salesforce has publicly touted numbers like 12,000 AI implementations, analysts are looking at that and asking, what does an implementation actually mean? Is it a company fully running its operations on this new AI, or is it just a single team running a small pilot program? This has led to talk of AI vanity metrics, big, impressive numbers that might not reflect deep, meaningful adoption. It's one of the key reasons for that skepticism you're hearing about. As we previously noted, this is the classic enterprise lag, lots of pilots, slower production at scale. Salesforce is now rolling out Agentforce Voice to compete with customizable tones and fully interruptible conversations. So how is Salesforce fighting back? It's a really clever and maybe defensive move. Instead of building their own phone system from scratch like their rival Sierra, Salesforce is partnering with the existing giants of the call center world, companies like Five9 and Genesys. Their strategy is to integrate Agentforce Voice directly into the telephony systems that large companies already use and trust. The bet is that big enterprises would rather add an AI layer to their existing setup than rip everything out and start over with a brand new all-in-one provider. We previously analyzed how the battle has shifted from model quality to total integration. This is Salesforce trying to become the indispensable AI layer, much like the Google/Microsoft race we discussed a while back, by embedding into the fabric of the tools enterprises already run. This is a textbook case of what business experts call the innovator's dilemma. Salesforce's biggest product, its Service Cloud, is built for human customer service agents. Now, they're being forced to build and sell an AI that could potentially automate those very same jobs. They have to risk cannibalizing their own core business to avoid being made obsolete by rivals. It's a brutal choice. Disrupt yourself or be disrupted. And if those AI agent wranglers really do become standard inside enterprises, Salesforce will have to empower them without eroding the very human-centered workflows Service Cloud was built to serve. While Benioff insists business is evolutionary, not revolutionary, his company's own warnings, its plunging stock price, and a $10 billion rival run by his former co-CEO tell a very different story. Salesforce's struggle shows how AI is forcing huge companies to rethink their entire business. But the disruptive power of AI isn't just shaking up corporations, it's also reaching into our personal lives and challenging institutions we rely on every day, like healthcare. For 3 years, a man suffered from extreme fatigue, muscle spasms, and a ringing in his ears, so severe he couldn't hear birds sing. Doctors told him it was just anxiety. So he turned to artificial intelligence, and the AI did what the doctors couldn't. It gave him the right diagnosis. Oliver Moazizi, an IT consultant, was once an active gym goer, but after a tick bite, his health collapsed. He said, "I felt like I was being a hypochondriac as medical professionals dismissed his detailed symptoms, taking matters into his own hands. He fed his entire history into an AI." Now, his background as an IT consultant is a key part of this story. He knew to specifically tell the AI to use verified medical sources. And that's a crucial distinction because the skill of writing a good prompt can dramatically change the quality of the AI's answer. Studies show that when users are trained to craft specific prompts, AI diagnostic accuracy can become surprisingly high. But for a general user who just types in, "I feel sick," the results can be unreliable or even dangerous. This creates a new kind of digital divide, an AI literacy gap, where the quality of your self-diagnosis might depend on how well you can talk to the machine. The AI's conclusion was Lyme disease. A private doctor later confirmed it with a positive test. What really brought this to a head was his next step. He took the AI's suggestion and went to a private doctor. You see, consumer AI might be creating a playbook for patients who have the resources to bypass the public system. If you can afford it, you can use an AI suggestion to get a second opinion or a specific test right away. But what about everyone else? Experts are concerned this could widen the gap in healthcare, creating a two-tiered system where those with money get faster answers while others have to wait. Moazizi's own words capture the frustration. "I felt quite vindicated. If I hadn't persisted, I would hate to think where I would have been left by healthcare professionals." But this isn't just one man's story. It exposes a massive crack in the system. A tick-borne disease specialist, Georgia Tuckey, went on the record stating that the diagnostic standards within the NHS aren't good enough. She says the specific pattern of symptoms that specialists look for isn't looked for generally in the context of NHS investigations. And a jaw-dropping number reveals the scale of the problem. Officially, there are around 1,500 laboratory-confirmed cases of Lyme disease in England and Wales each year, but specialists believe the actual number of cases should be much higher. They argue that by only using low lab-confirmed data, the system doesn't support investing in the necessary research or training for a disease that is far more widespread than the official figures suggest. This reveals one of AI's most powerful potential uses, auditing our own health systems. The AI wasn't limited by the UK's official low numbers. It was trained on a massive global data set of medical knowledge. Researchers are now exploring how AI can be used to scan for these kinds of institutional blind spots. By analysing huge amounts of data, AI can spot patterns of underdiagnosed diseases that official systems stuck with their own limited data might be missing for years. It's like having an outside consultant that can see the whole forest, not just the trees. So while experts rightfully caution against self-diagnosing with AI, one patient's desperate search for answers has pulled back the curtain. And that caution isn't just a vague warning, it points to a massive legal grey area. After all, if that AI had been wrong and caused harm, who would be responsible? The user, the AI company, the sources it was trained on? This creates what experts call a liability vacuum, especially when you consider that medical devices are subject to incredibly strict regulations, but these general purpose AIs are not. This is a story where a machine pointed to a difficult truth about a complex disease, a truth that specialists say the official system is failing to see.
That's it for today on Voyage Daily Tech. Follow, share, and stay tuned for daily updates coming your way tomorrow.